So did YouTube really update its terms of service to say that they could terminate your channel if you don't make any money? Well, that's what a lot of people are freaking out about. In this video, we're going to take a look at that actual wording and see if we can figure out exactly what the sometimes ambiguous YouTube is actually trying to say here. So if you want to know how this could affect your channel, make sure you stick around for the entire video.
YouTube Simplified.
Hi, and welcome to Creator Fundamentals. My name is Dan Courier, and it is my mission to simplify YouTube so you and I can grow together. And if you want to see future content that can help you simplify YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss a thing. All right, so there's updated terms of service out there for YouTube that are dated for December 10th, 2019. And some of the wording has people completely freaking out, thinking that they're going to terminate small channels and channels that don't make any money here on the platform. Is that what it actually says? Well, let's take a look at the actual wording and you can decide for yourself. I think it's best to jump over to the computer so we can take a closer look at the actual wording. All right, so the first thing I think we should do is look at the terms of service as they exist today. So when we go to the terms of service page, and I can throw a link to this in the description of the video so you can check them out for yourself, you'll see right here at the top of the terms of service, it says, our terms of service are changing on December 10th, 2019. You can preview the updated terms. Until December 10th, 2019, the terms below will continue to apply. So basically they're saying between now and December 10th, these are the terms of service, and on December 10th, they're going to change a little bit. So the area that we want to focus on in the existing terms is the section on termination policy, and it basically just has 2 bullet points. And what it says here is YouTube will terminate a user's access to the service if, under appropriate circumstances, the user is determined to be a repeat infringer. It also goes on to say in Part B, YouTube reserves the right to decide whether content violates these terms of service for reasons other than copyright infringement, such as, but not limited to, pornography, obscenity, or excessive length. I find the excessive length an interesting one. YouTube may at any time, without prior notice and in its sole discretion, remove such content and/or terminate a user's account for submitting such material in violation of these terms of service. So that's what they look like today. And this is the area that has people a little bit concerned. When we jump over to the new terms of service, it's now referred to as account suspension and termination. And as you can see, there's a few more sections or subheaders under this section that we want to take a look at. And basically, it starts with terminations by you. It says you may stop using the service at any time. Follow these instructions, depending on your point of view, to delete the service from your Google account, etc., etc. It also says terminations and suspensions by YouTube for cause. YouTube may suspend or terminate your access, your Google account, or your Google account's access to all or part of the service if you materially or repeatedly breach this agreement. We are required to do so to comply with legal requirement or a court order, or we believe there has been conduct that creates or could create liability or harm to any user, other third-party YouTube or our affiliates. Now, the next section, this is the section that has people losing their minds. They believe it is basically wording that says YouTube can terminate your account if you don't make any money. What it says is terminations by YouTube for service changes. YouTube may terminate your access or your Google account's access to all or part of the service if YouTube believes in its sole discretion that provision of the service to you is no longer commercially viable. Now, that is the line that has people freaking out. They believe that section that says the provision of service to you is no longer commercially viable means if they determine that you're just a big waste of space that's costing YouTube money, that they can terminate your account. Well, the reality is, if they really wanted to, they could probably do that today, because We all know YouTube is completely ambiguous and they're not real clear on what they're doing or why they're doing it or when they're doing it. So it's certainly feasible that they could tell you violated the terms of service, and it would be a extensive uphill legal battle to prove them wrong. YouTube doesn't tend to lose too many of those cases. But in any event, this is the particular section that certain creators out there have basically spread in their communities to say, hey, YouTube is deciding that if you are just not making money on the platform, that they can terminate you. Now, personally, I don't actually interpret this like that. To me, I see this as a section or an overview of potentially 3 different ways that the relationship between YouTube and a creator could end. The first one is termination by you. You decide, hey, I'm not interested anymore. A termination due to you violating the rules, and a termination based on YouTube ceasing to offer the service. That's how I interpret this. But of course, YouTube is so ambiguous. That particular phrase that they've chosen to use could certainly be argued in both directions to say, hey, we're just saying that if the provision of the service to you is no longer commercially viable, that means that us as YouTube aren't able to keep this business model alive, and we won't be held liable if we no longer provide this service to you. To me, that's how I would interpret that. But again, I'm not an attorney, not a lawyer. And I'm sure there's people who would love to get in a courtroom and just argue with each other about exactly what this phrase means. Knowing YouTube, this is probably intentionally vague, so it can be used at their discretion when needed. But I really would not be concerned with the idea that YouTube is trying to remove accounts that don't make any money. The reality is that the majority of accounts on YouTube don't make any money. And if they removed all the people who didn't make money, then there would be no accounts that could ever elevate themselves to making money. And that doesn't make any sense, because YouTube needs the content to be able to serve the ads that the advertisers pay them for. So stop freaking out. It's not a big deal. This is a change of the wording in this particular section, but personally, I'm not worried about it at all. And I really don't think you should be either. But hey, that's just my opinion. I could be way off base. I'd love to know what your thought is. Let me know in the comments below how you interpret this and whether you see this as a reason to be more concerned about the stability of YouTube and your place on the platform. Love to know in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see if YouTube comes out and gives us a little more background or a little more in-depth or maybe a better explanation in terms of what this is actually intended to mean, because it is certainly ambiguous. But hey, if you've been on YouTube a while, you know ambiguous is kind of their game. So we'll see how it is. Thank you so much for watching, and carry on. Go YouTube. Hey, don't forget, this video is sponsored by TUBEBUDDY. TUBEBUDDY is the #1 browser plugin for managing and growing your YouTube channel. It's available to download for free. There's a link in the description below, or go to trytubebuddy.today and get started for free. I highly recommend it. And hey, this isn't the only issue that's affecting YouTubers. You also want to make sure that you're aware of the FTC changes that are pending for the new year. Check out this video up here so you can see all about the Child's Online Privacy Protection Act and how it could affect your channel. And yes, it's not just for channels that are children focused.